I'm CWO4 Victor Pinion, U.S. Navy, retired, telling some stories of my naval career. I have the hiccups for the story, but please suffer through them because I don't want to forget the story. So I'll be hiccuping throughout it. This story is when I was a W-2 warrant officer serving aboard the Naval Air Station, Moffett Field, California, as the crash crew, runway support, transport line, and everything else, odd jobs officer. Well, the commanding officer of base during the severe undermanning crisis, really following the Vietnam War, had consolidated several divisions into one to make do until the low manning crisis was over. Well, he transferred 12 second-class aviation bosun mates out of the crash crew to the transit line, but yet the fire chief and the crash crew chief couldn't do without those 12 men. They had to have a minimum number of crash crew members to man enough equipment for a minimum pumping ratio to open this Category 4 airfield. It was the main P3 master base on the Pacific coast. Well, so the fire chief wanted to hire more civilians, being how the skipper had taken all aviation bosun mates out of the crash crew. But there was a DOD-wide hiring freeze zone, prevented that. So the fire chief requested from the skipper of the base that he draw 3 or 4 men from the transit line of these ABs that are trained crash crew members to help man manning levels for the crash crew. Okay, the skipper allowed that. So now, 24 hours out of every day, they're drawing 3 or 4 men from the transit line down to the crash crew. Well, this went on. It was still going on. Been going on for about a year or so when I reported aboard. But because they're not the same men every day in the crash crew, the transit line was in three section duty. So you had different ones every day, and consequently they didn't benefit from the training that the regular crash crew members got. So the crash chief lost confidence in their skill levels and used them as flunkies around the firehouse to clean the firehouse, wash apparatus, and so forth, and stand at desk watch, but not assigning them to the firefighting apparatus, the professional firefighter duties. Well, that affected their morale, and they were complaining a lot about that. I went to the fire chief and crash chief requesting that they give us a crash truck to man at the transit line with these ABs. They didn't want that, didn't want to do that. So I requested captain's mast over that issue, and me and the fire chief and crash crew chief went to mast over that, and we're explaining our viewpoints. And yes, I did sympathize with the fire chief, but I had jobs to do too, and I needed those men at the line shack. Fire chief told his story about them not having benefit of all the training that the regular firefighters got, and therefore he didn't have confidence in them. And so I sympathized with that too, and I told at the captain's mast, I says, I challenged the fire department officers to put together the toughest test they can devise, both physical, practical, and written. And we'd administer it to these 12 AB, second class ABs. And anyone that didn't pass it, we'd do a 3-week intensified training course for them every day until they did pass it. Well, it worked out. Only one man passed the test. So we did the 3-week intense training course. And at the end of that, all but one of them passed the test. That's enough for us to man the crash truck. So we got an MB-1 crash truck at transit line to man, and we would respond to all the emergencies. Plus, we would stand the middle of the night, 8 hours worth of runway alert watch. That seemed to satisfy the fire chief. He didn't like it, but he didn't have a leg to stand on. So that's the way we did it. It worked great. It just worked great. The crew gained a great deal of confidence in me. I gained a lot of credibility for supporting the crew by doing the business that way. It worked. Now, I'll go ahead, because I've got a little over 3 minutes left in this segment, and tell the haircut story. We're coming up on a captain's inspection. I did the pre-inspection inspection the day before at morning quarters, and a couple of guys needed haircuts pretty bad. So you guys go ahead and get a haircut. And bosun, yes, no, go get a haircut. Navy Exchange barbershops about 4 blocks right over there. They said, oh, we don't like the Navy Exchange barbershop. They get a lousy haircut. And I said, well, I've been getting my haircut at Navy Exchange barbershops my whole career. I've never had a bad haircut from them. I don't care where you get your haircut. Show up tomorrow morning with a regulation haircut. Okay, a couple of hours later, those 2 guys come back to the line shack. Their hair had been butchered. What the heck do you guys do? Try to cut each other's hair? No, we went to the Navy Exchange barbershop, just like you told us. I said, come on, we're going back to the barbershop. We went back there, and sure enough, there was a barber at that barbershop, was a real bad alcoholic. And he was drunk now, shaking real bad, watery eyes, bloodshot eyes. I mean, bad, hungover. He shouldn't have been cutting hair in that barbershop. There's a man in the chair now, he's cutting his hair. And I went off on the dude. And on the foreman of the barbershop, who was the head barber there. I went looking for the Navy Exchange officer. Couldn't find him. It's late in the day now. Couldn't find him. So next morning at the captain's inspection, I pointed these 2 men out to the captain. He goes, where the heck did you guys try cutting each other's hair? Just the same thing I've done. No, sir. We got it cut at the Navy Exchange barbershop. Captain looked at me and said, well, what have you done about this? And I told him. He says, okay, right after the inspection this morning, you be at my office. I'll have the exchange officer there, and we'll go to that barbershop. Well, we did. And when we got to that barbershop, I went off on that barber. He had a man in the chair cutting his hair again, still shaking all the room. And I'm going off on the guy, and the guy sitting in the chair, he's looking around, man. He worried. Well, he should have been. And I went off on the foreman of the barbershop, and the captain said, Vic, I got it. I've got it. Okay, so I backed off. Well, that barber lost his job that day. They sent him home. He never came back. I don't know if he quit or if they fired him or what, but he never came back in the barbershop the whole time I was stationed there. Man, that crew loved me because I supported them. I was their leader, and I supported them. That is so important to a leader, that you get involved in controversial matters and resolve them. Okay, I'm done telling the story, and I hope I'm done hiccuping. Carry on.